Good afternoon, classmates and tutor. My name is Sebastian Benavides Aristizabal. I'm part of the group number 8 of the course Educational Research. So I'm presenting my essay with the participatory diagnosis made in the collaborative work number 1. And this is my oral presentation. So the problem that I proposed to study was the low quality of English education in Cartagena, Bolívar, in the public institutions, institutional education. So I want to start speaking about the social context of the city. This is a city of 1 million people, is the population of Cartagena. Mainly our population is formed by Afro descendants and mestizos. We can see that we have a level of poverty of 30%, according to the Danes research some years ago. But the perception of poverty is even higher than 30% because of bad management of money and finances in the common families in Cartagena and several other problems. The corruption level is a very high one compared with the rest of Colombia. It's a 63% of corruption. And there's a lack of confidence in the people toward the government because there have been many situations going on. People is feeling that the government is stealing the money, and it's been working in several projects like Transcaribe, the public transportation, for almost 10 years now, and they haven't seen that. So this problem of corruption is affecting very strongly the confidence that the people has in the government. There are a lot of gangs and violence problems and issues, especially in the barrios, the neighborhoods. There's a lot of dysfunctional families. So because of dysfunctional families, many of the children grow up with just the mother, uncles or aunties, or sometimes with the grandparents. So they grow up in an environment of dysfunctionality, and they find refuge in gangs, in drugs, alcohol. They start to live a criminal life, stealing money, robbing people. So this brings a lot of problem when it's related with education. That's a little bit of the social context of the city. As you know, Cartagena is very touristic. A lot of foreigners come. There's a lot of investment in this touristic area of the city. There's interest in most of the people to learn another language, since they see that having another language, they have advantages to get better jobs. So that's a little bit on the social context of Cartagena. The policy framework of education is basically the same one that we have nationwide, country level, according to the National Ministry of Education. So regarding English education is this plan of bilingualism, where students should be achieving a B1 level of English when they graduate at least, but this is not happening. Most of the students are graduating with A2 level of English, according to the common framework of references of languages from Europe. So basically the policy framework is similar to the rest of the country, but there are still some cases of corruption inside of the institutions, public and private institutions, such as the one we heard of in the news, national news, of the University of San Martin. Dynamics of education. There's a high investment in arts, music, cultural manifestations, and languages in the city. But because of corruption, these investments are not well used. So that's a little bit on the dynamics of education in the city. We could say that there's coverance, so many people have access to education, but the quality of education is not so good in public institutions. Programs of early childhood are basically the same that we have on nationwide. like the community mothers with the ICBF, LICBF. So the children have this attention in the neighborhoods when their parents have not enough, that don't have enough money to feed them, and when they are working all day long, so the children can attend to these community houses with community mothers, so that they can receive attention. But besides of that, there's not much special attention to children for early childhood. Educational quality, how is it understood, how is it perceived in Cartagena? Mainly is tested through the national test, like the ICFES, Saber Pro. So these are the tests that are used in the public institutions here in Cartagena to know if the quality of education is good or bad. So if an institution gets a good score, it's considered that they have a good quality. It gets a low score, it's considered they have a good quality. But there are many factors that are not kept in mind during this test. There's a lot of influence also in the abilities the teachers have. So I myself have found and have met teachers of English in Cartagena. I'm speaking about public institutions where they don't speak English, they don't know English, but they are teaching English to several grades, elementary school, high school. So it's very special to find a teacher that speaks English and not just a few words, but that really has a good level of English in the public institutions. So that's one of the main problems. But in general, this would be a little bit of social context, policy framework, programs of early childhood, education quality, and dynamics of education. As a conclusion, we could say that it's really important and necessary to have an inclusion from all the community, all the city. It's not only a task for the government to improve the quality of education, but it's a task of people, it's a task of teachers, of students, of parents. There are many factors that are affecting the quality. It's not only the corruption and the lack of well management from the investment the schools receive, but it's also from the families. The dysfunctionality that we live in families here in Cartagena is very high, and this produces a lot of bad issues in the young students. So it's a work from all the community, and that's why I think and I believe that a participatory action research would be ideal to deal with this problem. So a little bit on the map, the concept map that I designed for the first collaborative work. I could say like this: education in Cartagena de Indias, there are several factors to understand it. One is programs of early childhood, which follow the same structure of national programs, which are mainly the houses of community mothers that are partnering with ICBF. Then we have the social context. It's a city with 1 million people of population, mainly Afro-descendants and mestizos, 30% of level of poverty, 63% of corruption levels, family disintegration, violence, dysfunctionality, gangs, violence, drugs. There's lack of interest in education when these kids are hurt because of their family's background. And corruption has been disseminated in people's hearts and lifestyle. It's not only a matter of the government. The policy framework, educational policy framework, is basically the same one as the Ministry of Education, national level, with the plan of bilingualism in Colombia. This is still not true, not happening in the public institutions in Cartagena. We are not still achieving the level that our students should have when they graduate from high school. Dynamics of education, there's a high investment in arts, tourism, cultural manifestations, and languages, but because of several factors like corruption, lack of interest, bad structure also in the physical institutions, these investments are not we are not taking advantage of them as much as we could. And education quality is perceived, is understood as the results the institutions get in these national tests like ICFES, Saber, and Saber Pro. So that's my oral presentation for this task. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your comments also on this and your insights. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to watch yours also. Thank you.